Here we go. Welcome along, everyone. Welcome along to what has been a super quick year, in my opinion. It just feels like a week ago we're here previewing the 2023 Cheltenham Festival, but we are here. We're previewing 28 races to get through. I'm going to wing through them all. Um, what a quick year. What a super year. And of course, this is definitely Christmas. It's coming up to Christmas Eve for us, horse racing enthusiasts. Um, 28 races, as I said. I'm going to go touch on every one of them. I have some strong fancies. I have some nice each way prices. But as I always say, this page or this preview will be for the general person that wants to do a lucky 15, small bets, fun bets, enjoyable bets, and always bet responsible. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but bet what you can afford. It's going to be a fantastic week. Let's hope we all enjoy it. Back some winners. Let's hope all the jockeys, horses come home safe. First of all, I'm going to kick off shortly. You've enough to listen to me talking about what ifs, buts, and maybes. It's going to be, as I said, a super week to look forward to. That first day, of course, I'm recording this Saturday. Tomorrow, we're at 10:30. It's going to be like Christmas Eve. Basically, we're going to be at 10:30, be looking at final decks for the Supreme and all of day one's racing. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a preview now, an anti-post preview, and then every day I'm gonna go and have about a 10-minute preview or a 5-minute preview of the racing ahead with final declarations. More so for the handicaps. I'm going to touch on on the handicaps, but I'll have one or two selected. Obviously, a lot of they mightn't run, and when we see final decks and if the horses are going to be claimed off um, I just want to touch on the offers that Boyle Sports have. Fantastic Cheltenham offers. Money back if you finish second to the SP Fab. I think that's a super offer. It's probably the best in the industry, I think, for the Cheltenham Festival and every day. Especially a lot of these races, you might necessarily want to be on some of these ones at a shorter price. You could have a little bit of a fun bet, and if your horse finishes second to the Fav, you get your money back as a free bet. There's plenty more offers. There's going to be money back all losers on certain races with Boyle extra cards. You're going to have extra places on the day. And of course, you'll have lots of different market specials, distance specials, and all that. So, but the best thing you can do is head over to the Boyle Sports website, check it out, and you're going to see everything there. I'm going to kick on. It's been too long of an intro. We're going to kick on. Of course, this is the curtain raiser, just the supreme novice. Even to hear that name for this race gives me goosebumps. 1:30 starting Tuesday. This was the race everyone was wondering if buts and maybes of who's going where. Ballyburn for Willie Mullins. He was very short after what he done. And then you have, of course, Annie Powers, his son Mystical Power, Firefox for Gordon Elliott, and then Tully Hill. But Ballyburn's going to go to the longer novice race. I'm really sweet on Tully Hill here. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I actually think this having this race a bit more open rather than a short price favourite at the start means that we can have a little bit of a smaller bet, a fun bet at a bigger price, and if we click one, we're going to get a few quid for our smaller stake rather than trying to get into a shorter one on the kickoff. But I really like Tully Hill. Um, Finished second last year to Punchestown in the bumper after winning a bumper in Gorn in March, and then went to Punchestown, as I said, finished second behind a Dream to Share, which was the strongest bumper form of the year. No Dream to Share but blew out this year, but it was obviously something not quite right there. He then went to Punchestown for a maiden hurdle in November, was beat at very short odds. I'd put a line through that because he came out the next day in Naas and absolutely hosed up in a 25 runner maiden hurdle by 7 lengths. But what I really was taken um by Tully Hill in Punchestown the last day, winning the listed novice hurdle in Punchestown. Absolutely trounced him, I thought, and went. What I really liked was went out, made all, knew what he had to do. And when Paul goes out and makes all, and them horses or any of them good jockeys go out and make them all, they know that they have a good horse under them, and they really want to put him to the test, and they did. Absolutely trounced Edward O'Grady's no flies on him, who was a very good winner of a maiden hurdle and a very touted horse around Christmas time by 9 lengths. And of course, Cornelius Jigaroo back in second or in third. I really like Tully Hill here, and I think at 4 or 5 to 1 now, I'd rather have a 10 or 20 euro bet on him than be stuck into an odds on shot with Ballyburn. Mystica Power for me, I was actually in, I keep saying this, I was in um, Ballinrobe last summer when he made his bumper debut. His debut, of course, we all know Son of Any Power, owned by the powerhouse of JP McManus, Richard Ritchie, and Mr. John Magner, bred to the purple. But I don't know if I just don't see him getting home the way he runs. Maybe I'm wrong. He could have a big engine, and maybe that's why they decided. Maybe I think Willie and Paul, especially Paul said, conversations. I'm only guessing, but I reckon that it was we'll win him with Tully Hill. We'll put Ballyburn in the longer distance. Now Tully Hill, I was doing a few previews. I did state on that it was his only entry, and I was kind of swaying that he'd probably run here anyway. Um, yeah, but I'm going to get off the mark with Tully Hill. I'm not going to keep talking about the Supreme Novice. Then we're going to kick on to the Arkle, a race that I was scratching my head with. I said in the last Cheltenham preview I done just a week ago when Marine National was still in. I said I was late coming to the preview. Cracking preview down in Rosgray. Kevin O'Ryan was on the panel. Myself, Brian Slattery, Andy Slattery, Tom Hogan, Dennis Hogan. Great night was had. But Marine National, I was like, I hope you told them all to lay this horse because I was actually late. I missed the first day, and I couldn't have him after his run. But that just leaves the race wide open rather than having another short one. Gaelic Warrior for me, he was my Cheltenham horse until the last day. When himself and Factor File contested that novice Grade 1 chase at the Dublin Racing Festival, he was 4-7. Look, I think they probably went a bit too hard going by the sections. But Osby made it the sectionals. He won very well in Limerick, but as Kevin O'Ryan was doing a preview saying, like it was hard going down in Limerick. It was heavy ground, and sometimes that can have an effect, even with horses that win so well. But I reckon he comes back here on a bit nicer ground, and I'd rather for him to come here than the longer race. I think coming back to 2 miles actually will suit this horse, and I reckon if the ground is on the good like they're not watering at the minute. I don't think. I think it's going to be probably the softest ground, natural ground for a long time in Cheltenham. But I think if the ground dries up a bit, this lad back over too. Now he'll go away through the heavy as we've seen in Limerick. But I just think this lad could, if he comes back, put a line through his last run. Maybe it was a bit too close to here, but the vibes are good about him. I really like Gaelic Warrior here. So I'm going to keep it simple if he runs here, Gaelic Warrior in the Arkle. Then we're going to go to the first handicap of the meeting. This is the ultimate handicap. I've 2 in here if they run at big prices. Trying to find them there. Henry de Bromhead, am I right, at 16-1. Think is a nice bit of handicap form going into here. And a horse of Willie Mundes, Glengooly. I think this leg could be set up for one of these not set up for one of these handicaps, but I remember him winning his beginner's chase in Thurles and coming home. Tell Me Something Girl, who was a Cheltenham Festival winner that day, back about 13 or 14 months ago in Thurles, and I really liked Thurles form coming to Cheltenham. Was second into Tayestes in Gorn. So I think coming here, if he turns up here at Glengooly, he will definitely get a little fiver each way for me. And am I right for Henry de Bromhead? They'd be my 2 selections in the ultimate. But as I said, I'm going to come on every day and go through the handicaps when we see final declarations. Then we're going to go to the Champion Hurdle, of course, a race that was riddled with controversy when Constitution Hill blew the market out of water by working poor in Kempton and Court. And we all said, like, we knew the writing was on the wall. He wasn't going to run. Stateman, very short, 2-5. Not going to spend too much time on this. Stateman has been super, super impressive this year. I actually fancy this horse to get closer to Constitution Hill this year. I said I'd take him on, but I was going to say again in my preview, if Constitution Hill was running before the controversy, to nearly stick with him and have your 10 or 20 euros with Boyle Sports, because again, that money back offer would have kicked in and you basically have a free bet at 3 or 4-1. He's 2-5 now. Definitely one for the Cumes. I think Stateman, all he has to do is jump around here. Don't think Lassie Mouse going to run here. Irish Pine coming back. Could have a shout maybe to run him down, but the rest of them in behind, I think the only thing that they get close to him is if Statement doesn't jump too well. Then we're going to go to the Mayor's Hurl, Lossiemouth 1-2, Astro Diamond for Willie Mullins as well at 7-2, Marie's Rock for Nicky Henderson at 12-1. I just want to touch on Nicky Henderson's runners at the minute. I wouldn't have any of them at the minute. Now, again, we'll see how the first few of them run and if they start running well. Because, look, Nicky, a lot has been said about Nicky Henderson, but the man is a maestro and he's been around the game long enough. But I just wouldn't have his horses at the minute with the form they're in. But that being said, you'll know by the first one or two if they're running well, which, look, he will peak him there. Last team out, I think, look, there's no point spending too much time on this race. She's another one that's a powerhouse here. Won the Triumph last year. Very sweeter last year coming back after finishing second at DRF. But she duly obliged in the Triumph hurdle, and she just looks an absolute beast this year. There's talks of her going back to the champion hurdle, getting the mayor's allowance, and taking on Stateman, but there's no point with two stables on them, and you're basically guaranteed, bar jumping errors, to have a winner of the Cheltenham Festival. So I think she's in the right race, last time out. Echoes and Rain's having her final run. I've tipped this one up, and I think she'll run well again. If I was going to have a 5 each way and something in the race, depending on any run, if you get 3 places, it's going to be our last run. I think she's going to stud. I just think if there is, I think if this stays a decent field, I think this one has a little bit more class than the rest of them in behind to be placed. And Echoes and Rain, I think if she settles and travels in, I think if she's kept quiet, she'll run a big race. I think Echoes and Rain. I would tip her each way, and she's going to be my each way selection in the race. So that's Echoes and Rain each way, but Lassie out for the win. Then we're going to go to the Boodles. The first juvenile handicap hurdle. I have a massive one here, and this, if he runs, a horse of Gordon Elliott's. He is, what is his name? I'm trying to find him here. He's a 4-year-old. Obviously, they're juveniles. He's 101. Morado. Maiden over hurdles after 3 runs. Came off the flat from David Sincock. Bred in the purple, this horse. Bred by Roaring Lion. And Qatar ownership owned him. I think there's some good connections there between the Qatar race and Gordon Elliott. Did have a few connections. So I'd say this lad might have been recommended by maybe David Simcock or that they jump a hurdle. He didn't win on the flat either, but he has some nice place form. I just think he ran very, very well in a 3-year-old maiden hurdle at Leopardstown in December. Then went to Punchestown, where he was favoured or second favourite for a big runner, Punchestown maiden, and then finished. I think he finished okay. It was another maiden. He was 5th to 13, but I just think this lad, if he puts it together and is given a quiet ride, maybe with under the radar, you're going to get 5 or 6 places on the day in this race. I think at 100-1. Not going to spend too much on it in case he doesn't run, but I just think he could be worth €1 or €2 each way. Morado. The other one that I like each way, and it's only entry in the race, is Willie Mullins's French recruit that had 1 or 2 runs. I'm just trying to find her here. Is Carani de Blazes. She's around 40-1 at the minute, in the same colours as Echoes and Rain, the Barnan stud. I think there could be more to come from her as well. I fancied her the first day in DRF, and she didn't put up a bad effort the last day. Another French recruit. I just think that she could be one as well, just to try and get into a place. So those are my 2 massive ones in the Boodles if they run. Then we're going to go to the last race of day 1. That is it's named after the late Maureen Mullins, an absolute lady of Irish racing and deeply, deeply missed. But a nice touch here by Cheltenham, naming the race after the National Hunt Cup. Willie Mullins' Embassy Gardens in it. Like, the race is named after his late mum. He'd be doing everything he can. Of course, Paddy will probably ride it. Corber's Cross for Emmett Mullins. JP McManus. Colours, class of the race. Runs in the race. He's 15-8. Then you have Embassy Gardens at 9-4. One I would take a chance with those 3-car brag each way at 10-1. I think this lad could run a fine race. He was actually fancied for the 3-mile novice last year, the Albert Bartlett. and was fifth of 20 behind Stay Away Faye. Was very, very well fancied that day. Then went to Punchestown, bit disappointing again. But went to a beginner's chase in Fairyhouse and was second behind Corvus Cross, only beaten 3/4 of a length, and then was second the last day. Very short odds was beaten in a beginner's chase, second behind Monty Star. If he won that day, even think he'd be a lot shorter. I think like he's only 3/4 of a length to make up with Corbett's. Ran well here last year. So yeah, I would give 3 Car Bragg if you get 3 places. If that many stay in, I would give 3 Car Bragg a good mention there. That concludes day one. We're going to kick on to Wednesday. Don't want to be without my notes. Then we're going to go to the Barring Bingham. Of course, this is the race where Ballyburn looks like he's going to go. This is the 2 mile 5. Yeah, it looks like a procession here, I think, for Ballyburn, barring any jumping errors. One I would give a shout to though each way, or even two, whatever one of them stays in. Billericay Dicky for Willie Mullins, I think, was very impressive on his debut. Has only the one run. That's probably it, lacking a bit of experience, but I think it's 16-1. He looked very, very impressive today. He won. Now, I know the form hasn't been frank, but all he can do is win the race he's in. And the Predator's Goal is another one I give a shout to each way. So one of the two of them each way if they run. But Ballyburn is the one they all have to beat here. Then we're going to go to the Brown Advisory. This is the 3 mile novice chase, Factor File. They're talking about this lad like he's already gone by, of course. What he done to Gaelic Warrior. Still a question mark though of the races he's running. He's been super impressive, don't get me wrong, but I just like to see horses winning races maybe with more run. I suppose you can only run what you're against. Factor File I wouldn't back an odds-on shot maybe in a race like this, novice chase. Stay Away Faye, I tipped it up at to win the Alba Bart last year when it was about 16-1. Duly obliged, and I'm going to stick with Paul Nichols as runner here. Just again, that offer is going to kick in again with second to Fab. So if you're having a little bit with Boyle Swords, I would go there. I'd stick with Stay Away Faye just for a 10 or 20 quid bet rather than Factor File. Now, I wouldn't throw anyone backing off Factor File. He could absolutely trounce him. And if he's the real deal, should do. But Stay Away for me will give you a good running for your money. So I'm going to go Stay Away Faye in the Brown Advisory. Then we're going to kick to the Coral Cup, a super tough race to get the winner of this. But these are the ones I really try and relish and try and get one of those nuggets through. Definitely one for the each way lucky 15s, and I love my 50-cent each way lucky 15s. Try and get one or two of these. Try and get the four big prices placed, and then if you get one or two winners in the day, they click the four. And we're going to head to Vegas for a good weekend. But Harry Fry's Might I. Ran twice at Cheltenham, and he was second in a 15-runner handicap, and then was fourth in the Martin Pipe, and he was only beaten by 4 3/4 lengths by Iroko. And he's a nature of a low mileage, 16-1. I think Johnny Burke has been booked to take the ride, so I go with Might I each way here. And one I intrigues me here. And it could be an absolute mad one at 50-1. Finest Evermore. Having his first run for Paul Hennessy. Used to be with Willie Mullins. I think he won around Killarney because I think I remember him winning that day. He won at Maiden. But the connections, like Paul Hennessy, we all know is an absolute. He's nearly the Aidan O'Brien of the greyhound world. But he won this race back in 2021, I'm thinking it was, with Heaven Help Us. Same owners, shrewd connections, going for the same race, know what it takes to win it. If he turns up 50-1, he's definitely worth €1 or €2 each way, find it Evermore. But Might I be my main selection in the race each way for the Coral Cup. Then we're going to go to the feature race of day 2, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. El Fabiolo, it's just by how far barring any jumping errors, but we can't take them into account, as in he's done everything right so far. They say he don't jump well, but he's yet to fall. He's yet to, I think, really even make a bad mistake. I think he just lands perfect. Now, fair enough, but he's been here last year, absolutely trounced him in the Arca when he was my nap at the whole festival. And yeah, I think he's going to do a job here, 4-9. Captain Guinness might run at one. well at a price. I think he always kind of runs well at a price when he's under the radar. But for me, El Fabiola is not even going to be worth backing anything each way in the race. I don't think there's probably not even going to be 8 runners in it. The Queen Mother Champion Chase, what a race has been down through the years, and just I think if this lad, I just really want to see it to doing my job here. So El Fabiola, sharp, but gets the job done in my eyes. Then we're going to go to the cross country race. A race now that I tipped to win a couple of years ago and stuff like that, but it's a race where a lot of these older horses that have won grade ones and good races are starting to come here now nearly as their retirement parties and win at the festival. I think there should be an age weight allowance or something like that, or because they're all in off level weights. And I think it's a little bit unfair now. Could be wrong. I'm not a handicapper, not a trainer, I'm not a jockey, but I would just like Manila Endo. He looks like on form. He should be thrown in here. I know he's 11, but a former Gold Cup winner and placed multiple times at the festival, including in the Gold Cup. And I just think, yeah, if you're going to give some of the other horses, like the likes of Foxy Jacks or any of those, who I think Foxy Jacks are run well, but I just think they shouldn't be enough level weights. Galvin will run very, very well, I think, if the ground dries up, but at the minute, it looks like it's going to be soft ground, at least, if not heavy. So it'll be interesting to see, but Manila Indo is the one they all have to beat. Looks like it's been mapped out for the race. Delta Work, don't rule him out without your pearl either, but look, Manila Indo could be and should be the one. Foxy Jacks to run well at a price for the mouse as well, hopefully. Then we're going to go to the Grand Annual, the Johnny Henderson Grand Annual. Of course, it used to be the last race of the festival, but now it is the second last race on the Wednesday. But I'm sweet and one here each way. I'm going to make it my nap each way nap. Part of the throw for Gavin Cromwell. Yet to win over fences after 7 runs, twice a hurdle winner and some nice hurdle form. But his last 2 runs in Fairy House in the beginner's chase, he was second behind Hunter's Yarn, and a very good horse is Hunter's Yarn, but was second the last day at the Dublin Racing Festival in a listed handicap chase, and finished second behind UK's only runner and winner, Sophie Leach's Madrara. Absolutely wrong at the rates against each other. 12-1. I think Part of Throw is going to run a cracking race. I really fancy Gavin Cromwell's handicappers this year going over. Gavin is a very, very good trainer, and we all seen down through the years what he does going to Cheltenham. Doesn't bring over a lot to the festival. He's a decent team going this year, but he's on the up and up every year, and when he brings them over, they very rarely run a bad race. So I think Part of Throw, especially, you're going to get a lot of places in this race. At 12-1, yeah, my nap each way. One that could run well at a price again, if runs, but needs a bit nicer ground solidness for Joseph O'Brien at 16-1. Will get my maybe small second each way bet in the race, but Part of Throw is my nap each way nap at a meeting, the whole meeting. Then we're going to go to the Champion Bumper, a race where I think this year super hard more than any other year. I find the bumpers hard anyway at times. A lot of the novice races, but these are especially, the bumpers are just, because you have a lot of horses coming in. But this year you have a lot of horses only have to run one run. I think Tishan, Paul Nicholls' Tishan, he won an Irish point to point, and he nearly lapped him. He was super, super impressive. And won a bumper above an Exeter and was just so easy doing it. But yeah, the vibes are good with Tishan. I think that point to point was a talking point to point that day. So I like Tishan at a nice price now. He is you can get 7s or 8s even on him now. I was sweet and one here, and if he runs in Punchestown, Gold in the Mountains for Martin Brazel, I tipped him up to win at Stevens' day. He was entered here, but he's going to go for a winner's only bumper, I think, in Punchestown at the festival. Gold in the Mountains, remember that name. But Tishan for me for the win, and Argento Boy is the one that I'm going to go for each way. Argento Boy for Willie Mullins. I thought he was impressive on his only start in Fairy House. In the colours of Galloping de Chance. Audrey Turley. So Argento Boy for each way. You're going to get, if a load of these stay in Argento Boy, you'll probably get 4, maybe even 5 places. So I think Argento Boy is a nice bet each way at 14s, and Tishan for the win. That concludes the Wednesday's action. We're going to kick on to day 3, Thursday, and we're going to kick on with the turners. This is a 2.5 mile novice chase. Yeah, I was going down through these. It looks like the UK have Grey Dawn and Jenny's Destiny at the top of the market, and they're going to take a bit of whack in. Facile Vega, will he go here? Where will he go? It looks like he'll probably go here. I think Willie really, really wants to win a Cheltenham Festival race with this bumper winner and son of Vega. He won the Cheltenham bumper here, was second in the Supreme last year. And I think he'll run well, Facile Vega. But I'm going to go for one, Iroko, last year's Martin Pipe winner. Has only the one start over fences around Warwick. Was very, very good that day back in November. Now, I'm not too sure why we didn't see him, but Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero with this JP McManus runner, I think turns up here and is in if he's in the form that he should be in, he'll win. I think he'll win easy, Iroko, to get the UK off to a start on the Thursday. The turners. Then we're going to go to the Pertemps final 3 mile hurdle, a big runner field again, I'd say. No doubt. There'll be probably 23 or 4 runners in this race. Let's see what I have wrote down. I think Paul Nichols is it Montmoral? If he claims off of this Montmoral, I give him a chance here. I think he could be well handicapped here to run well at the price, and they're going to get 5 places, 25 to 1. I think he'll give you a good race. And the famous colours of John Hales, and I think one that's nicely in at the weights is, where is it? Henry Romhead's runner, Gabby's Cross. I think that could be well in as well here, Gabby's Cross. So my 2 each way for the Pertemps final would be Gabby's Cross and Montmoral, depending on what runs and what prices and what places you have on the day. But at those prices, be willing to stick one of them in Lucky 15, 5 each way on board, and hopefully get one of them over the line. Then we're going to go to the Ryanair. If the ground dries here, Banbridge, he's my nap of the day. Simple. I'm not going to even spend too much on it. I think if he runs, Joseph will only run this horse if the ground is right. I just think he's the one they all have to beat here, and I think he's actually going to do a job on him. If the ground dries out and he runs, I'm just not going to even elaborate any further. Banbridge to get the job done, and to get the job done impressively, I think. Then we're going to go to Stairs Hurdle. My nap, I can't say my nap of the day. I just said my nap of the day if he runs, but I'm really sweet on Tiapu here. Last year I finished third, very painful, unlucky third, I think, in my eyes. I just think he gets the job done well. It looks like Irish Point's going to go to the champion hurdle, which is it's a big difference going from the Stairs back to the champion hurdle. So the owners owned the same owners own Tiapu and Irish Point. So I'd imagine try and split them up and try and hopefully get one of them over the board. But I think Tiapu is definitely going to take the whack in here. I actually tipped him to be my nap at a meeting at the end of one of the previews I was at about 2 weeks ago it was, and he was about 5 to 1 or 4 to 1 then. I think he was about 4 to 1. But he's been well supported now. He's into about 2 to 1. But Tiapu, I think, gets the job done here. I just think the rest of them all in behind have a lot to answer for. Home by the Lee might give a good account of himself. He was well fancy for the race last year. Monkfish, Monkfish was the one I tipped up to run well each way, but I think he's after getting sweetened up over hurdles. More than likely, he's going to be a runner in the Gold Cup. But if Monkfish turns up, I'm going to go touch on him in the Gold Cup. But if he turns up here, I doubt he will. He'll be an each way player. But for me, Tiapu, he'll get the job done. He's a new kid on the block. Then we're going to go to the plate, the handicap chase over 2.5 miles. And let's see what I have in my notes. Il Il Redota for, I think it's Paul Nichols. If he runs, and again, I'd like to see him claim off of this lad. He's a nice claimer in the yard. Freddie Gillard, I think that's his name, is it? That claims for him. He's conditional rider. Il Rodotto at 16-1. He has plenty of Cheltenham form. He has run 3 times this season. He was third behind stage there in the Gold Cup in November. Then was second, only beating a short head in a 12-runner handicap chase over 2.5 again, and then was third of 13 the last day. But last season he ran 3 times again there, and he won actually over 2.5 on soft ground in a 16-runner Premier handicap chase. I think this lad, he'll run a cracking race, and you're going to get a load of places. Again, I'd like to see him claim off it. I think, going by what Paul is saying, he's going to claim off this lad at 16-1. So yeah, I think he'll run well. The other one that I expect to run very, very well here is Gavin Cromwell's. Let's be clear about it. Really like his form coming into the race, and at 10-1's been well supported. I'd like him as well. Then we're going to go to the penultimate race of day 3, the Ryanair Mayor's Novice Hurdle over grade. It's grade 2, over 2 miles. Short one, very short one, 11-8, brighter days ahead. Can't falter for what she's done. Owned by Gigginstown, Gordon Elliott connections. Jade DeGrucey, though, I think she's been as impressive in the Kenny Alexander colours. I really liked her performance the last day above in Fairy House when she won a novice hurdle, a grade 3 novice hurdle. She was very, very impressive of a maiden hurdle around Leopardstown. I really like Leopardstown maidens. I think they're very strong. Whether be it on the flat, over hurdles, or bumpers. I really like Leopardstown form, and she backed it up then when she won well above in Fairy House in the novice grade 3. I'd be just willing again with that offer to take the chance here with Jade DeGrucey. I don't really have an each way shout in the race, so I'm just going to go for Jade DeGrucey in the Mayor's Novice Chase. Then we're going to go to the final day of the third day. On the Thursday, it is the Kim Muir amateur riders over 3 miles too. I know the way you're thinking with Gavin Cromwell. Very well handicapped horse. This is again, I was saying about Gavin Cromwell's horse. He's 4-1 now. He's a bit short. Like to see what way the race cuts up. Last year's winner for Sam Curran. He's a local trainer here. Very good, shrewd trainer. Good point-to-point handler, and anything he runs in track always has a chance. Am I Right is also entered here. If he turns up here rather than the handicap I tipped him earlier on, back him each way. Am I Right for Henry de Bromhead? I think either way, I know the way you're thinking it's going to take all the beating here though, and definitely would be worth connection. Like when JP runner money comes first, you have to take note. And I just think Gavin Cromwell's horses, I've touched on him. I've tipped one or two of them already to run well in handicaps. I just think he could be the one here. But if Am I Right turns up, have a little small few quid each way on him, or throw him in the rookie 15. And I'd like to see Angels all run another cracker race. Of course, Pa King gave this horse a cracking ride last year. Went to school with Pa, and he's a cracking rider. I thought he might have a ride in the bumper with Gold in the Mountains. He won on him above in Leopardstown at Christmas, but it looks like he's going to go to Punchestown. So I'd like to see it run well for connections again. I know the way you're thinking for the win, and Am I Right if he turns up each way? Now we're motoring through. We're going to go to the fourth and final day, and in a couple of minutes you won't have to listen to my voice for another 12 months. Hopefully we get some winners, but anyway, we're going to kick on. It's a Triumph Hurdle, the first day of what's going to be an epic 4 days of racing. As I said, always bet responsible. I can't stress that enough. There's no better feeling than having a nice bet that you feel comfortable with and it winning, and if it loses, it doesn't affect you. That's the way to do it, and keep it that way. Now, 130 is the Triumph Hurdle, the JCB Triumph Hurdle, a race down through the years that has produced some absolute crazy. It used to be an absolute crazy race back in the day. Nearly you'd be afraid to nearly ride in this race one time, but back through the years has gone. The last number of years has turned into a bit more of a quality kind of a race, and a bit more of a substance race. I think Sergino looks very very impressive. Very, very short. I'm not going to have him at the odds. Henderson's horses, I couldn't have him at the minute. Now, if he had 3 or 4 winners in the week or something like that, or if they run well, back him then. But at that, I'm going to take him on. I would like to see Joseph's horse turn up here. Newburgering. I'm absolutely butchering the name. I think Joseph actually, they say he was assistant to his dad, but basically he hadn't got the license through in time when he won it with Ivan Gurbajanev, or whatever his name was, the JP runner. When Aidan was down to train it, but look, we all know that Joseph was the main man for that horse and what he's done. I'd love to see him win this race just to put his name on the folklore of winning the Triumph Hurdle in namesake rather than hearsay. But yeah, I think this lad will run a cracking race at 16-1 Nuremberg. I just think was very impressive when winning I really liked the performance. Only won by half a length, beating Calacanti above in Fairyhouse in the juvenile grade 3, and was then in Leopardstown. I don't think he got the clearest runs above at Leopardstown at Christmas. When was beaten 3/4 of a length by Calacanti. Didn't get the smoothest of passages, and I just think he didn't show his true running that day. I think coming here, there'll be plenty of place on the race, and if he gets a run through, I think at a price, and if a lot of them stay in, I think he'll definitely run a cracking race. If he doesn't run Stormheart, I give Stormheart another chance if it turns up here. Punchestown absolutely hosed up in a 22 runner maiden hurdle, and then went to Leopardstown, was second in the spring juvenile, beaten a length and 3 1/4 by Carrigeese. Paul actually rode him that day, and it'll be interesting to see if the two of them turn up here, Carrigeese and Stormheart, which one Paul would ride. I can't see a whole pile between them, being honest with you, and I think running on the job, there'll be plenty of pace on, as I said. Could run a cracker Stormheart at 12-1, but Nuremberg each way at 16-1 for me in the Triumph. Then we're going to go to the County Hurdle, another absolute fantastic race, a very hard race to get the winner of. I like one here coming back in the handicap company. Absurd. Actually tipped this horse above in Galway after I seen him winning in Killarney in a novice hurdle. I was very impressed that day. Went to Royal Ascot and finished second behind Vauban in the Copper House, the mile 6 handicap. Finished second in the Royal Ascot race. Then went to Galway. I really liked him, and he was odds against. Ended up odds on. Ended up 4-6. Didn't run very very well that day. Obviously not. Finished 6th of 9 behind, and then was beaten 9 lengths by Arctic Fly. Can be a bit buzzy, I think, this horse. Then went to York and won the Ebor. Like, to take some doing to win an Ebor, like in York, or 1 mile 6 on the flat. Frankie rode it that day. Actually went to Melbourne to the Melbourne Cup then and finished 7th. Didn't give a bad account of himself at all. Only beaten 5 lengths. Was then came back to Leopardstown and was pulled up in the Future Champions Novice Grade 1 at Christmas, and I actually thought he'd run well that day. Pulled up, things weren't right, and then went and finished 4th behind Ballyburn in the Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival. Coming back here in the handicap company, I think, and for a horse of his ability, because you cannot win an Ebor. You can't win any of those flat races without having ability, and I think he's got pace, he's got speed, he knows how to win. He's back in handicap company. I just think, and he's in still off a nice weight, I think. At 12-1, you're going to get 4 or 5 places. I'm not going to give you 200 race. I'm going to go with Absurd here each way in the county hurdle. Then we're going to go to the Albert Bartlett, a race where I was lucky enough to pick the winner of last year at a decent price. It's a 3 mile novice hurdle, grade one, and I'm going to go for a big price one again here. Croke Park for Gordon Elliott in the Gigginstown colours, 25 to 1 at the minute. Um, Winner of a point went and was second in a bumper, then went straight over hurdles, absolutely hosed up in the middle hurdle back in October in Clonmel. Then went to Navan. I really like Navan form coming here. Any of them tracks, Navan or Thurles, I really like when that form coming up a hill. I really like it. Showed very, very I thought a good attitude that day when winning the novice grade three on soft to heavy ground. We like the ground. 2.5 mile. I just didn't think it got its true run the last day in Naas in the Lawlers. Where reading wrong me wrong. That was a bit of a race where people still have question marks over. I think he'll get his true run here, stepping up to the 3 miles will really suit. And again, you're going to get extra places on the day. Croke Park 25 to 1 gets my vote in the Albert Bartlett. Hopefully we can go 2 for 2 in the last 2 years of that race. Then we're going to go to the feature race of the whole meeting. It's the Cheltenham Gold Cup, the race you would want to win if you're a jockey, a trainer, an owner. And it's just a fantastic race. Steeped in folklore down through the years, of course. Remember the greats that have won it. And Cato Star, Denman. Those are the races in recent years. Back through the years, the absolute legends that won this race. And you it's a race last year we were lucky enough to get the winner of. Now Galloping the Champs, people are only giving him not a chance, if that makes sense, on his 2 runs, where he didn't win since winning the Gold Cup last year, where he finished third in the John Durkin, beaten a length and 3/4 by Fast or Slow, and then went to the Savills. He won the Gold Cup last year and then went to Punchestown to the Gold Cup, a second there behind Fast or Slow. Didn't look himself. And then came out and was third in the John Durkin. Again, didn't look himself, but the vibes were super positive coming back to Leopardstown at Christmas for the Savills. And I remember watching Paul tanking and bringing this lad over to the stands side, and to let him roll over there like that. Paul knew what he had under him. He felt it under him. You could feel it through the screen. I wasn't up there that day, but I was watching the TV, and I remember saying to one of the lads beside me, I said, the way he's manoeuvring this horse, he knows what he has under him, and absolutely trounced him. Beat Jerry Colomb by 23 lengths. That for me, that run will win this Gold Cup. Handstands, I think. Leopardstown, very impressive again, winning the Irish Gold Cup. Where he turned the form around by Fast or Slow by 4.5 lengths. And people are saying it wasn't as good as a performance as it was in Leopardstown. Fair enough. But he still absolutely trumps Fast or Slow by 4.5 lengths. Coming back here to a course where he won a mountain pipe. He was unlucky not to win what was the race where he fell in back in the Turners. He was unlucky not to win that against Bob Ollinger, and turned up then against a lot of horses with I thought were Brave Man's Game and that King George winner and that, and trounced him in a race that did run ideally not to suit him by 7 lengths. The horse, all he has to do is come back here in his form and he just wins. He goes and wins 2 Gold Cups in a row and gives Paul, I think, is it 4 now in the last 5 or 6 years. Paul Town is some jockey. That's why he has the job where he has. And yeah, I've been sweeting this horse ever since the day I tipped him to win the Martin Pie back in one of my previews. And I'm not going to desert him now. 5 to 4. It depends on what way the race goes. I would stick him in with one or the other two, like El Fabiolo, State Man, stuff like that, and hopefully you have a bit of a nice bet going on. But I just think this horse wins, and he wins well. I can't see Fast or Slow winning here. I just don't see him getting the Gold Cup trip. This is what makes a Gold Cup a Gold Cup. You can win over 3 miles in that, but no disrespect to the horse. Martin Brazel is a super trainer. This is a super horse. I just don't see him getting the Gold Cup trip here. I think to run well at a price, I really like Monkfish to run well at a price. This horse was well touted a few years ago and looked like such a beast. He looked like a beast. Um, he won the Albert Bartlett over hurdles at the festival, and he went and he went over fences then and absolutely trounced him in every aspect of it. Went from a beginner's chase straight into um, the Christmas novice grade one at Leopardstown. Won absolutely well. Then went to Dublin Racing Festival back in 21. Now this is and hosed up again in the grade one. Then went to back to Cheltenham and won the Brown Advisory as he liked. Now it was only six runners, but he won by 6.5 lengths, beating some nice horses on the day at the festival. So he's only been to two festivals and he won two grade ones, two novices, the Albert Bartlett over hurdles and the Brown Advisory over fences. Then he disappointed when he was second behind Coolreevy in Punchestown, and he was off. Then he got injured in that. He came back then after 713 days. I'm looking at it here. I'm not just picking these out of my head. I'm looking at it. He came back in April of 2023 in a grade two and was beaten only half length by Asterion for launch. And then was okay. He was disappointing then in Punchestown in the stairs last year, where he was ninth of ninth. But I reckon these good horses, when they're not running well and they don't have a chance of winning, you're not going to be hard on them. Like, so it could be over exaggerated. He then took a break from April last year and came back and go on this year on heavy ground over 3 miles over hurdles in the Galmay Hurdle, which is a race I really like. Galmay Hurdle going to Cheltenham has been very, very good down through the years. Back over hurdles sweetened him up and won by 5.5 lengths, and he beat Somerville Boy, who's a decent horse. I just think at a price, if he runs here or he's entered in the stairs, he's going to run a race. And again, you're going to get extra places depending on how many stay in it. So I just think to pick up the pieces each way, and I'd love to see him run a good race. Monkfish, I think he's a super horse that was very unlucky to get injured, and I'd really like him to run a race. But for me, they all have to be Galloping the Champs, and I just think he wins 2 Gold Cups in a row. So that's my thoughts on the Gold Cup. I've been talking probably way too long now. We're going to finish it up very, very quickly. We're going to go to the race then after the Gold Cup, which is the Open Hunters Chase. Not a race I have much of an opinion on. On the line, it's on the line. Finished second in the race last year. Last year's winner, Premier Magic, is 8-1. Bradley Gibbs, who owns and rides the horse, trains the horse. Premier Magic, I'd love to see him run a cracker. Bill away at 12. Won the races, I think it was 2 years ago now. Ran a cracker the last day, 12 years of age, but I still see him running the race, and I think Paddy Mullins would really love to win on this lad at this race at this age. So Bill away would be my little squeak each way, but it's a race I'm not going to have a bet in. I'm just going to watch. Then we're going to go to the 2 mile 4 Mayor's Chase, and again you have Allure de Vassy, Dino Blue, 2 Willie Mullinses, 11-10 and 4-1. Very, very short Dino Blue. Let us down a couple of years ago when looked like it was a penalty kick at the festival. Now has been super impressive. And yeah, it looks like it's the one they all have to be here, 11-10, 4-1 then for Allure de Vassy. But want to run well at a price is really hard to tell. I would stick them in my lucky 15. I'd rather stick something at a price in here than stick Dino Blue. Look, Dino Blue will probably get the job done if she shows the form she's been showing, but it's the only way. The question mark she let me down the year that we all thought she was a good thing. Laura Vassy will run a cracking race, and I think Paul will know how to beat her, Dino Blue, and I just think that, yeah, I can see either one of the two of them beating Dino Blue or Laura Vassy or River at the tell. Being honest with you, so I'd rather have my little bet each or win on the Lord of Vassy with the boys sports money back off for kicking in again against Dino Blue. And if I was going to go and have a look 15 each way or a 5 each way and something really hard to tell, then we're going to go to the penultimate race of the whole meeting. Sorry, not the penultimate race, the final race of the whole meeting, the Martin Pipe, a race where I was lucky enough to pick the winner of it 2 or 3 years in a row. Didn't pick the winner last year, and I'm hoping we get back on the score sheet this year. 2 in this, depends on what run. Again, I'll go through what I think about the handicaps after. Better days ahead for Gordon Elliott. Money for it again. Today it was 14-1 when I was writing my notes last night. It's 12-1 now. And a one that could see running a very good race at a big price, LeBron for William Mullins at 20-1. Yeah, I was in Thurles the day he won in November. Was very good in the maiden hurdle, I thought. 16 runners around Thurles, won by 3.5 lengths. Very impressive that day. Then went and was actually, I think it could have been favourite, if not favourite or second favourite in the Moscow Flyer, the grade 2 novice hurdle at Punchestown was well beaten that day, finished 4-4. But there's a reason he was nearly favourite for the race, the form coming through from Thurles. And of course Paul rode it that day. Paul rode him that day, and I just think that he could be a little bit under the radar here, going off his last run. Then he was 7th behind Tully Hill, but I just think coming back into handicap, 5-year-old in this race, they do well. The 5-year-olds, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds going to do well in here. 5 and 6-year-olds will be sweet on, and I think just better days ahead for Gordon Elliott each way, and LeBron if it runs each way as well for Willie Mullins. That has been 28 races of the Cheltenham Festival. As I said, this is for the everyday person. This is not going to be your get quick rich scheme, or you see certain people and they're going so many points, so many bets. This is, let's go in, have a fun bet that we want to enjoy the racing. And if we click a lucky 15 on the week, or if we get a touch on the week, happy days. But if we draw a blank on the whole week, it's not going to affect us. Cheltenham is a fantastic meeting. It's a fantastic festival. And doing gambling in responsible, and I'm not just saying this, can be fun. So only bet where you can afford to lose. As I said, there's some fantastic offers. Oh my God, I'm 51 minutes money for going back to the screen, and it's been going on way too long. But as I said, enjoy it. Head over to BuySports website, check out the offers. I'm going to call live every day on my social medias. Mark Jason86 on my Instagram. My Twitter, I think, is the same, and Mark Fanning for my Facebook. And what I will put them up here. Anyway, guys, that's been my 2024 Cheltenham Festival. I hope everyone stuck around long enough, and I hope we get a few winners. It'd be nice to get one or two of those big prize handicap winners, or look 15 place or something. But again, as I said, enjoy it, be responsible, have fun, and let's boot home some winners. Everybody stay safe, and I will see you every day at the Cheltenham 2024 Festival. Cheers, everyone.